TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom ve'erev tov, good evening. Welcome to our daily TV7 Israel News Bulletin broadcast from Jerusalem. U.S. President Donald Trump reins Israel in that after Jerusalem prepares to launch a large-scale offensive against the Iranian-proxy Hezbollah in the Dahiyeh neighborhood of Beirut. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asserts after a phone conversation with President Trump that the IDF will continue its operations in Southern Lebanon as planned. And the European Union is promoting itself as a valuable mediator as it maintains no role in negotiations between the United States and the Ayatollah regime in Iran. Israel's patience with the Iranian-proxy Hezbollah has come to an end yesterday, and with the Ayatollah regime deliberately dragging its feet in negotiations with the Trump administration, Washington has given the green light to Jerusalem to expand its operations to Hezbollah's stronghold, namely the Dahiyeh neighborhood of Beirut.
The state of Israel is in the midst of an unprecedented security period. In recent years, and more so since October 7th, we have been required to deal with complex threats, both overt and covert, in arenas near and far. In response to the ceasefire violations by the terrorist organization Hezbollah and the firing at northern communities, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and I ordered the IDF to attack terrorist targets in the Dahiyeh neighborhood of Beirut. The fate of Dahiyeh in Beirut is the same as the fate of northern communities in Israel. If there is no peace in the north, there will be no peace in Beirut. We will not allow a reality of harm to our communities and citizens while peace is maintained in Beirut. At the same time, the IDF continues to operate with fire and maneuver against Hezbollah terrorists and formations in Lebanon. It brings about very great achievements and crushes the capabilities of the terrorist organization on the ground in order to remove threats from IDF forces and the residents of the State of Israel, and to transform the Litani region into an area under IDF security control and free of weapons and terrorists.
In a similar statement made by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli leader insisted that the Iranian-proxy Hezbollah is on the run.
Together with the Minister of Defense, I have instructed the IDF to strike terrorist targets in Beirut. There will not be a situation in which Hezbollah attacks our cities and our citizens, and its terrorist headquarters in Beirut, and Dahiyeh, remains out of bounds. We are continuing to deepen our operational activity on the ground in southern Lebanon and are eliminating Hezbollah strongholds. Hezbollah is on the run. We are determined to restore security to the residents of the north, just as we did for the residents of the south.
Meanwhile, IDF spokesman Brigadier General Efi Defrin stressed in a televised briefing to the people of Israel that the infrastructure that was built by Hezbollah is effectively Iranian infrastructure in Lebanon. Therefore, the IDF will not halt until it degrades the Iranian terror proxy's hold over Lebanon. Among others, the capture of the Beaufort Ridge served as a devastating blow to the terror group's operational capabilities.
This was a significant operation that was planned over an extended period and approved by the Chief of the General Staff, following a structured battle procedure and meticulous operational preparations. Control of the Beaufort Ridge carries important operational significance. It is a key geographic asset of Hezbollah and serves as a critical artery for the terrorist organization. From this area, Hezbollah directs fire and conducts observation toward the communities of the Galilee Panhandle and Metula. Since the beginning of Operation Roaring Lion alone, more than 400 launches have been fired from this area. The infrastructure built by Hezbollah is Iranian infrastructure, serving as a significant command and control center both above and below ground. We are pushing back Hezbollah's capabilities and continuing to further the damage inflicted on it.
General Defrin continued by addressing the residents of northern Israel who have been subject to repeated rocket and one-way drone attacks on a daily basis.
I want to say again to the residents of northern Israel, the IDF is with you, we are with you, and we are acting on your behalf both on the front line and on the home front. Everything we do is aimed at strengthening your security and creating a better security reality. I ask you to remain vigilant, act responsibly, and follow the instructions of the Home Front Command. The IDF is striking and will continue to strike Hezbollah terrorist infrastructure throughout Lebanon, from Dahiyeh to Tyre. Wherever there is a threat to Israeli civilians and to IDF troops, we will act to remove it.
It is interesting to know that the United States greenlighted Israel to strike Hezbollah in Beirut, while in tandem, it reportedly also offered the Lebanese government a way out. According to a report on Axios, the U.S. administration offered Beirut an off-ramp, stressing that in exchange for Hezbollah ceasing its fire, Israel would not engage the terrorist Iranian proxy in Beirut. While the Lebanese government sought to realize the deal, hoping to avert yet another catastrophe to its citizens by Hezbollah, the Ayatollah regime has effectively dissuaded its proxy from accepting any off-ramps. Consequently, the IDF spokesperson's unit released a statement in which it warned the residents of the Dahiyeh area in Beirut, calling on them to evacuate the neighborhood for their own safety.
This is the third time we are displaced, moving from a place to another. Now I'm heading to Tripoli, to the kind people of Tripoli. The descent to the grave is more honorable. One descending to the grave is more honorable than leaving his house.
Prospects of the Iranian proxy facing an unrestrained IDF determined to protect Israel's northern communities, the Ayatollah regime effectively launched a blitz of threatening rhetoric, claiming that it would no longer negotiate with the United States on a memorandum of understanding unless Lebanon is included in the extension of the ceasefire.
One of the clear reasons for the escalation of the crimes of the Zionist regime in Lebanon in recent days can be nothing other than the undermining of any possible prospect for diplomatic processes to lead to some form of improvement in the situation. And this responsibility again lies with the United States. We cannot view the United States and the Zionist regime as two separate and independent actors operating in isolation from one another.
In addition to its proclaimed intention to freeze the talks, the IRGC released a statement cynically claiming that the residents of northern Israel should evacuate if the IDF strikes the Hezbollah stronghold in Beirut.
Netanyahu,
by continuing his acts of aggression, has threatened to bomb Dahiyeh and Beirut and has issued evacuation warnings to their residents. Given the regime's repeated violations of the ceasefire, if this threat is carried out, we warn residents of the northern areas and military settlements in the occupied territories to leave the area if they do not want to be harmed.
While the Ayatollah regime essentially engaged in a media blitz as part of a clear effort to pressure the United States to rein Israel in, President Trump reportedly stated in a phone conversation with a CNBC reporter that he doesn't really care if negotiations with the Ayatollah regime collapse, since the naval blockade continues to devastate Iran's economy, with estimates citing approximately $500 million in losses per day. Nevertheless, in tandem, President Trump held separate phone conversations with Lebanese President Joseph Aoun and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, after which he posted, quote, "I had a very productive call with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu of Israel, and there will be no troops going to Beirut, and any troops that are on their way have already been turned back." President Trump continued, "Likewise, through high-placed representatives, I had a very good call with Hezbollah, and they agreed that all shooting will stop, that Israel will not attack them, and they will not attack Israel." Subsequently, President Trump published a separate post in which he proclaimed, quote, "Talks are continuing at a rapid pace with the Islamic Republic of Iran." It is important to stress that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office subsequently released a statement in which it wrote, quote, "I spoke this evening with President Trump and told him that if Hezbollah fails to halt its attacks on our cities and civilians, Israel will strike terror targets in Beirut. Our position remains steadfast. Meanwhile, the IDF will continue to operate in southern Lebanon as planned. Turning to Pakistan, where EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaya Kallas held a meeting with Pakistani Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar, during the course of which he said the European Union institution would like to take an active role in negotiations, as Brussels has been left out of the spotlight.
The Deputy Prime Minister and I today exchanged views on pressing global developments, including in the Middle East. Pakistan has been the main mediator between the United States and Iran. Your diplomatic efforts have helped to prevent a return to full-blown war on several occasions, and these efforts are much recognized and appreciated across Europe. With your support, there is now a tenuous diplomatic opening to extend the ceasefire and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Yet, any temporary understanding between US and Iran must be followed by deeper talks about Tehran's nuclear stockpile and other critical issues. Lasting stability will require more encompassing solutions. The European Union is ready to contribute to a sustainable and peaceful solution. We bring economic leverage, hard-won nuclear expertise, long-standing relationships with partners across the Gulf, and direct engagement with Iran itself.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News, which is made possible by the generosity of our viewers. I would like to take this opportunity to also highlight that today we mark production number 3,700 of TV7 Israel News, and with that I would like to congratulate you. If you've been a longtime partner or even a short-time partner of TV7 Israel News, thank you for making this possible. I'd like also to take this opportunity to ask you, as usual, keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and redemption of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hessen, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.